And I'm really grateful for this interview because I'm learning a lot. But I'm curious because, with the enthusiasm that you're showing, and as a co-founder, of course, that's very different
Yeah.
from the enthusiasm that your team must have, because they're your team members, right? They're not co-founders. How are you able to transfer this enthusiasm, if you will, or how are you able to
Yeah.
influence them to make sure that they're onboarded, they know what to do, and they know what should the outcome be?
Yeah, this is actually a really, really important subject that we really focus on at Kaylee, right? Because when you work with somebody, right, the incentives sometimes don't align, right? Because like you're a co-founder, you stand to gain a lot of the benefits, right? But the thing is, like, benefits are not always monetary, right? Yes, that's part of it. You have to, compensate them well, and you have to make sure that you recognize them, and then you give them raises and things like that, right? That is a very, one-dimensional component, right? Compensation is one-dimensional component, right? And the way that I really truly think about this is that you can align and you can excite team members in a different way, right? And that really comes down to how you communicate the problem that you're trying to solve, right? And if you're truly trying to solve a meaningful problem, and the people that are writing applications and code that are going, hey, you know what? Like this piece of code is going to affect this change. They have a direct relationship to that, right? And if they see that someone uses that, they feel like enormous amount of joy. That is like outside of the monetary value, right? So, but it's all about how you communicate it and being able to transfer that kind of feeling to them, right? So what we do during the onboarding process is on the first couple of days is I literally sit down with them, and every single one, I have like a one-on-one for like with everybody. And that's actually super important because you not only have to get to know the person, but you also have to get to know where their strengths and weaknesses are, right? Because everybody has it, right? And you have to kind of be comfortable openly asking them these questions, and then in a very empathetic way, like just say, hey, you know what, these are okay, because we have to work with them, right? And we have to work with these flaws, and they have to be able to like raise their hand and say, hey, you know what, I have this vulnerability, right? Because you don't want everyone to hide. Then you just set up this Swiss cheese kind of like foundation, and everything collapses when you build a lot of pressure on it, right? So the way that we do this is I sit down with them and I literally explain to them the actual problem, no code. It just, I explain to them what happens in an American dental office. I explain to them where the problems are. We even get to read about the problems, because we have this review thing called like Google reviews and also Yelp reviews, where patients of a dental office would go and leave review about the problem that we're solving. And it's like a 1-star review. And it's never about like the doctor doing like a bad job on clinical. It's always about how the office give them the wrong estimate and then charge them more for it later. But that's because the patient didn't understand the process, right? And also because the office did not have a complete information. They're working off of like estimates, and they're working off of like incomplete information that is very difficult to obtain, right? So a lot of the really difficult work gets really misunderstood, right? So these are the things that I communicate very openly. Like literally, we will like show the pictures of like office managers and like people that are in the office who's working, so they get this like interpersonal kind of relationship to how they go about day-to-day life. So it's not, when you work with Kaylee, right, it's not just about you come in, you get your assignment, and with like the sprint tickets and things like that's not how it works at all, right? Like that's like probably like 1% of it, right? The other parts are like, okay, what are we building and how does this affect the individual, and what are we shipping to make that change, right? And that's always the conversation. So no matter who you are in Kaylee, if you ask them, what is the problem that you're solving, they can actually tell you what the problem they're solving. It's not just what the code they're writing for, right? Because they can actually know what it is for, right? And dentistry is actually really complex. And I'm really, blessed, actually, also like, privileged that these team members understand the American garbage of the American dental industry, and then really being able to like interpersonally relate to it and go, oh, you know what? Like, yeah, that really sucks. I don't have that problem here. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry, this is America, and we have American problems, and it's like worse. So I think that's typically how we do it.